Hello everyone, I'm Daniel with Cajun Gunworks. I'm the one that works on your slides and does your optic milling and custom cuts for you. I want to talk about a little bit about options on the optics and features of the optics. So we have they have the 507K, which has a 2 MOA dot, 32 MOA circle, has a nice notch in the back, which this one's cut in on a PCR, which on them, the PCR sight sweeps forward. When we cut it in, we cut it right in to the dovetail, so on the PCR side, it's going to cut into there. We can take those off, put one of our sight sets for the PO1 so it doesn't have to cut into the sight. You can see you can still utilize it with your iron sights with that notch in the back of it. Comes in nice. Then we have right here the Hollison 507C is another one that we keep in stock. It has a 2 MOA dot and a 32 MOA circle. This setup is on the Trichicon plate with a tall black front sight. 507C does share the footprint of the Trichicon, so anything cut from them, 507C will fit on there. Then we have the SRO. We usually keep the 5 MOA dot and 2.5 MOA. This one's mounted on a Shadow 2, milled down to directly mount. And so we go pretty deep. Even as deep as we go on there, you can kind of see some threads on there, but we have the holes drilled pretty deep in there, so it's real secure. All right, then we got the Vortex Venom. It's one we'll see customers send in. We don't keep these in stock, but we do see them from time to time. They're kind of long, have 2 lines in the back. Most of the setups are kind of too long for a co-witness. Next we have the 509T, which also has 2 MOA dot, 32 MOA circle. You can adjust, run both of them or one at a time, however you'd like. It's a totally enclosed optic and has a little bit, actually the window size is about the same height as a 507C, just a little bit wider, a little bit boxier, I guess you'd say. Then one we see is a Romeo 3 Max, because everybody likes the big window. So if you like the big window, that's what everybody likes. But it is one of the longer optics we see. So co-witness, not going to happen with this one. Takes up a lot of real estate on there. All right, let's talk about co-witness sights. So on the 75 series CZs, you are limited by real estate, what size optic you have, and then we can only go so deep with the retaining pin and everything. So your best bet on one that can direct mount, that has a notch in the optic, works on this setup. We have it in front of the rear sight, which is on a PCR. With the stock PCR sights, it will cut into it, and you can see on the leaded chamber indicator, it kind of gets into that too. So, but it will work as a co-witness with the notch. You can still utilize your iron sights on there. Or if you don't necessarily, you want a co-witness, but you don't necessarily have to have tritium sights or something, this setup is on PCR again. This mill took the rear dovetail out of this one. So it sits back a little further, maybe easier to conceal carry if you need to. And it's out of the extractor pin, everything. And then you can see you can kind of still utilize the notch of the optic with the factory height front sight for a co-witness. It keeps a low profile than like suppressor height sights on there. Makes it a nice setup. For the 75 series and the Trichicon, or the 507C, we'll use the Trichicon plate with, we'll use a suppressor height front sight. This setup has a tritium front sight, and I don't know if you see that. So with this setup with a higher tritium front sight, you're going to get a point of aim, point of impact on your sight picture. Whereas this one right here, with the 507C on there, Trichicon plate, but we got a black front sight that's a little bit shorter. But when you go through there, you're going to end up with a 6 o'clock hold on your target acquisition. So And then for the P09 and P07s, we can mill them for a Glock dovetail in front or behind the optic. Just have to move the optic. If we're going behind it, we'll have to move it just to the edge of that dovetail, factory dovetail, and put it back there. This one was milled in for the Vortex Viper, which has rear locking tabs for the adjustments. And so we put it in front for this customer. So Optic's ready plates. Another thing we hear is people say they can find plates for the P10 Optic's ready, but not for the Shadow 2. So both plates will work with both setups, because the main difference is the little cut through on this. So this is a P10 Optic's ready plate. When you put it on the Shadow 2, it kind of sticks out right there. Other than that, it can be mounted, it can be used with the Shadow 2 Optic's ready slide. This is one that C&H makes for us, that you'll see we had the serrations and everything match up, so it kind of looks a little bit more seamless on that aspect of it. Another thing we have questions asked, because the C&H plates are the ones we keep in stock, and people will get it and they'll go to put it in and they'll say, hey, I don't have any threads for my optic. So their design is to have a little T-nut that before you mount the plate on the slide, you'll come to this bottom side here, you'll see another notch made out for it. And sometimes you put a little oil or something in there, just so when you do it, it'll stick, because you're going to turn it around, sit it down, and then you'll use your screws that come with it to screw into. So it kind of acts as a locator tab also, hold those optics a little tighter in there, and get you fixed up on that. On the P10s and P09s, P07s, and the Rammies are wide enough that we can mill them to directly mount about anything out there. The 75 series, we have to use a plate system for Trijicon footprints, because the Trijicon optics have a wider mounting pattern for their screws than most other optics. And so that's why we have the Trijicon plate, and then we do have our plate that has no backup sight, so we can put on there and install for you. And it moves the optic a little further back. Not everybody likes a rear sight in their window. It makes it a little busy. And so a lot of times, if people just need a reference to find the red dot a little quicker, we'll do a taller front sight and leave with no rear sight on there for you. One thing on the 509T, so one thing that's nice, 509T comes with like a dovetail mount on there. So we have milled in the P10s, P07, P09s with a dovetail that it'll mount directly on there. These do come with a plate that can screw into a Trijicon footprint, and has a dovetail as part of that plate. So that comes in handy if you already have a slide milled for a Trijicon. You can just put that plate on there and have your 509T mounted on there. If you have it on the Trijicon plate, it will be too high to co-witness, so it's not an option on that aspect of it.